Christian Clark, you can lead us off.
Hey, Stan, this is Christian Clark with NOLA.com. We just talked to Brandon. I'm just curious, his most improved player campaign, the improved three-point shot was a big part of that. What do you just feel like, him being able to knock down the three as consistently as he did for his game?
Look, I think most of the times when you see guys in this league take a big jump, especially perimeter players, it's usually due to their shooting. And Brandon had one of the biggest jumps we've seen, both in terms of three-point shooting and free throw shooting. And he shot a lot more threes than he'd ever shot and made them at a higher level. He shot more free throws than he'd ever shot and shot them at a higher level. Well, there you go. I mean, you're going to add to your efficiency a great deal. And so Brandon's sort of go-to, where his comfort zone has always been, is in the mid-range. But the more he can attack the basket with his size and get to the free throw line, and then the more he plays off of his three-point shot, the better off he's going to be.
What's up, Stan? This is Will Guillory from The Athletic. Sticking with B.I., now that you've had, some days to be around him, really see him up close, what parts of his game really have stood out to you, and maybe more than you even expected coming in?
Yeah, I think the two, Will, would be his defense. He's worked hard at it. He's got great length. He has the potential to be a very, very good defender. And his passing. Very unselfish, very willing to make plays, and seeing the floor really, really well. So we know what he can do as a scorer, but he really can pass the ball and make plays for other people.
Stan, Scott Kushner with NOLA.com. Brandon mentioned that, I know you want to get the guards more involved, talking, communicating. He said a lot of the noise is still coming from you and your end. How do you kind of balance that as you guys move toward the regular season of trying to kind of communicate with what you want these guys to be doing while also balancing the fact that they need to sort of take ownership of it on the floor?
Scott, that's a great question. And it's something I'm not good at. I mean, I tend to be very, very vocal, and that's fine, but it does sort of push people into a back seat, and then they're not developing those things. So we did today make a real emphasis about their communication and about making calls, and I was really, really happy with Lonzo today. I thought that he was more vocal. He organized his team offensively. He was our best communicator at the defensive end of the floor today, particularly in transition, getting back and pointing to other people, getting people matched up. And so I think the way for me to encourage that is to talk to them about it and then step back and give them the room to do it. But that has never been a great strength of mine, and it's something I need to work on, Scott, quite honestly.
Is there, just to follow up quickly, is there a little bit of a training wheels aspect to it that you're allowed this year that maybe you wouldn't have in the past, considering home games are going to have 700 people at it? There might be some road games with 0 people at it, and they'll be able to hear you at a level that I'm certain they've never been able to hear you before.
Well, yeah, except that, that's negated by two things. One of the things I'm noticing right now, Scott, is the mask makes it difficult when there's even the sneakers going and everything. It's tough. And a lot of times what players are able to do, particularly when you're communicating them on dead balls, is as much about reading your lips as it is about what you're saying. Because the other team's shooting a free throw, you're not generally like yelling out the play. You're doing like, and they get it, but you can't do that now. And so the fact that it's quieter in the arena may help to some degree, but I think it's actually harder for them to get calls right now. I really do.
Hey, Stan, it's Andrew from ESPN. You mentioned Brandon's passing. We've also talked more about Zion's, ability to pass and be a playmaker. Do you foresee using both of those guys more so as facilitators and even in the half court, just kind of using their strengths that they have?
Well, yeah, Andrew, mean, they're both really good passers and playmakers, and we're happy with that. But I don't know if I'd call them facilitators. We want to put them in position to be able to attack, and then when help comes and they draw a second defender, make a play. But they should always be thinking score, score, score. And I think that's what the great players do is, they attack, they force you to help or make a rotation, and then they find open people. And I think we've got two guys who are both capable and willing to do that. I haven't seen them forcing plays. They're both played unselfishly, and they can put the ball on target to people. So I think we're blessed to have the guys that we have.
Hey, Stan, Christian Clark here again. You mentioned the other day that Josh was a limited participant in practice. How's he just looked since then? Is there any update on him at all?
He's been practicing full for the last, 3 practices maybe. He's done everything, and I think he's an absolutely vital part of what we're doing, Christian. I mean, he's really tough guy, great rebounder on a team that struggles a little bit on the defensive boards, especially tough, smart, vocal, can make certainly a corner 3, shoots it really well, and knows who he is. And one of the great skills, I think, in the NBA that people don't talk about enough is guys knowing who they are. I think it is a big reason when you get beyond the stars that some guys thrive and others don't, is the guys who can know who they are, play to their strengths, stay away from their weaknesses, and they play well. And there's other guys who have as much talent, compete just as hard, all of that, but don't seem to understand who they are. And so they make a lot of mistakes, get themselves into a lot of bad situations. I think Josh has the strength of knowing who he is. We need big minutes out of him this year. He's a really, really good player.
What's up, Stan? This is Will Guillory. You mentioned Lonzo today and how vocal he was, and Nikhil mentioned us when we talked to him about how you're pushing the guards to be more vocal and you want them to be a vocal presence on the court. Has that been your philosophy, ever since you've been a coach, that you want your guards to be really vocal? And if so, why is that important?
Well, it has been, Will. And look, to me, one of the things I really value offensively is organization. I just think if we're organized to start a possession, I don't care if it's coming off an opponent's miss where you're more random or whether you're running set plays, like we need to be organized in what we do. And the point guard is the one who's got to tell us what we're in and get us organized. And then we have a chance to execute and do well. When the point guard isn't vocal, isn't letting people know, a possession that starts badly rarely ends well. And so I think organization is key. I think it's their job, and it's something that we will stay on them about. But they all did a much better job today. Lonzo in particular, I thought, was just outstanding.
Hey, this is Jim from Pelicans.com. Scott mentioned earlier that there is going to be 700, 800 fans at the first home game in the first part of the season. How much of a positive is that for you guys? I mean, I think we all understand that there aren't going to be that many teams that start the season with fans, just to be able to have, that additional atmosphere at the games at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's a good question, Jim. And I don't know, because obviously 700 fans is not very many. So I don't know how much it'll help. I mean, it would be good to have some people in the building rooting for you a little bit, I guess, but it'll still be a strange situation. I mean, I don't know that 700 people will give us a big home court advantage or anything. I do think the fact that some of these guys will be able to have family there and things like that will probably give them a little bit more comfort, but we'll just see as it goes.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys.